Light from a few can be a beacon to many. Welcome to Star Wars Hopecast.
Hello and welcome to the Star Wars Hopecast, a Star Wars The Old Republic podcast. I'm Varigan.
I'm Saya.
And I'm Colt.
And welcome to episode number 10, double digits. Here we are. And of course you may have heard, we have a guest host with us today. Laurie's taking a break for that thing they call real life. Again, the sucky graphics, the poor immersion, but I guess we gotta do it sometimes. So while she is doing real life, we have Colt, who is our Imperial officer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And it's nice, too, considering last episode we were just talking about our Imperial department, to actually see there's a person behind the department. That's fantastic. It means it's alive. So, but that is actually not the reason he is here, and we'll go into his specialty as we get along in the show. But first, let's go to what we always do, and that would be our time in game. So, Saya, let's start with you.
I was super excited because last week I got to do something that I've never done before in the game, and that doesn't happen that often. I got to do Master and Blaster, the big droid and the little droid, on hard mode. I didn't get to complete it, but got to try it out, and oh my goodness, is that a hard fight. In story mode, if you're a tank, you do get knocked back a bit. In hard mode, if you get knocked back and you're not at exactly the perfect angle, you're going to go flying right off the whole platform, or you're going to get thrown into a wall that auto-kills you. So I had a really fun time dying over and over and over while I was learning the angles.
That's nice.
Other than that, I got to go see a flagship social event that was going on by one of the Imperial guilds on our server called Penumbral, and they were having a in-character roleplay tour of their ship as well as a bunch of other events that I didn't actually get to attend, but the tour of their ship was really, really neat. They had a whole bunch of different rooms, like they had a prison, and they had a library with artifacts, and they had a med bay, everything you'd expect on an actual ship, and all the lore to go behind it as well. Speaking of doing operations, other than Master and Blaster, I've been trying to augment my DPS set, because I only have 94% accuracy on my DPS set, and that's just not cutting it at all, but I don't want to spend the credits to do it, even with crafting it myself. It's pretty expensive to unlock it. So I'm wondering if there's anyone else out there who's just been holding back on their less main specs and but not trying to bother with those augments. My really awesome news for this week is that I finished CentaurStrongholds.com, and by finished I mean I now have every single decoration actually in there, and a picture of every single decoration. So if you're poking around decorating your stronghold, that'd be a good place to start looking for what you can get. And I started a new project called Collections that show similar types of decorations. The ones that's up there now is Yavin 4, all the Yavin 4 decorations, and by the time this episode actually comes out, there'll be a bunch more too. And I also put down some cartel coins and bought a hyperkite. Did either of you guys get any of the new deep core packs?
Not yet.
I bought a bunch. I got a couple of the mounts, mainly selling them to try to afford my clothes habit, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Oh, you make me so mad. I got two mounts, but they were both the cheapest, least expensive ones.
I got one of the walkers. I got one of the walkers and one of the dinosaurs, so they both
lucky
sold.
duck. And speaking of pretty clothes, we had a guild meeting for our Star Wars division the other day, and one of the topics that came up was we need to have guild uniforms, and we decided that everyone has to wear different clothes, though no one liked the idea of us actually being matchy-matchy, but we decided to at least pick a dye that all of us could get. And one of the big requirements of the dye is we had to be able to acquire unlimited quantities, so it could only be a crafted one, because all of the cartel ones, especially on our server, there's a chance you might not even be able to get it at all, or it'll be a million credits. And we picked some really pretty colors. For the Republic side, it's going to be medium blue and white, and our Imperial side, it's actually in like a really intense tie right now, so I'm not sure what it's going to be. And other than my pretty clothes for our guild, I know there's someone else who loves pretty clothes. Who is that?
That would be me. I'm pretty well known in the Remnants as being the guy who dresses up all his characters, especially his female characters, in lots of different outfits and spends millions of credits on them. So the costume designer has both been a great asset for me, but also a terrible one, because I'm now pretty poor. So I'm selling off a lot of my old cartel stuff that I've been hoarding to make a profit off of to try to afford my clothes habit. So that's the first thing I did in game today. Leveling. Times 12 has been unbelievable for me. I'm also a bit of an altaholic, but I had some slots open, leveling some new tunes. I got to replay the operative story for the 4th time, which is really nice because I got to see the final ending I'd never seen before, which was the full light side ending. I'm not going to say any more about it because it's a pretty big twist and a pretty big spoiler. I know the game's been out for like 3 years now, but I don't want to spoil it if people don't know about it. And I also replayed Bounty Hunter and Smuggler, 2 of my more favorite stories, so I enjoyed that. About Ziost, I know Saya hasn't done it yet, or I hasn't finished it yet, so I'm not
No
going to
spoils.
I'm not going to spoil it. It was short, but I liked it. I know review on it has kind of been mixed. Some people liked it, some people didn't. But I thought the Imperial story, just sort of flowed way better and kind of made more sense than the Republic story. And that's pretty much it for what I did in game this week, except for me trying to learn to heal on my mercenary, which is going interestingly. I hadn't healed really in game before ever, so I've been healing for a few weeks now for our Imperial progression team. It's mixed reviews so far. And speaking of our Imperial progression team, Virgin's a member, so I'm going to throw it to him.
And it has been just mixed reviews across the board of the Imperial progression team. Where there's Herc the Merc, our healer, and then, of course, I'm Killer Kamek, the Imperial agent, and oh lordy, smooth operations? Not exactly. We got the operations, of course, as you know, Ravagers and Temple Sacrifice have been nerfed in the last patch, and doesn't matter. Bulo is still hard. Master and Blaster are pretty easy, but, well, not pretty easy. Easier. We do them in few tries than Bulo. Bulo is still, and of course, Bulo, if you don't remember, is the one with all the beer. And we just cannot seem to get that together. I think it was finally decided that the only way to really beat Bulo is just to go in and just obliterate. You don't even worry about dynamics. So it's a lot of experience, a lot of trying out, and still trying to get better. And it's funny, I probably died the least. I was usually the last one standing, was like, all right, stuck it, but my numbers were so bad. So we'll see if we can get that working up. Anyway.
Well, that fight's really hard for melee because of all the damage going out, and you really have to avoid all the circles, so it's kind of hard to damage the boss sometimes there.
Yep. And the nice thing is, at least for the operative, I have healing and shielding, so I do have some utility of my own. In case the healers are occupied, I can kind of keep myself slightly alive, which is one of the reasons I survive. But let's get to our priorities. My priorities, of course, unfortunately, this outfit designer is insanely awesome. Every character I logged into, the very first thing I do would pick their image. Every character I cannot play anymore until I have picked an outfit and they are now looking the way I desire. My Sith warrior has bionics. I did not expect it. He's actually kind of bare-chested with this cool new cybernetic thing I just found on the cartel market. So that was a priority. And of course, I've played this game for a little while. And you might say, you know this? I did not know that Treek was purchasable with credits. I'd never seen it, never heard of it. So I'm sitting there like, I don't want to spend the cartel coins on Trick. She's too expensive. Even at half price, I don't want to buy her. It's just not worth it to me. And someone in the TeamSpeak says, she's for credits, you know. What? She's 1 million credits in the cartel market. I can get 1 million credits in a heartbeat. So I go down, get her. Everyone has Treek. That's all I use now. I'm so happy. Because all the mods, if you remember from our little updates, the quality of life with the 12 times XP also includes the fact that every mod costs 2 credits, 2 commendations a pop, period, across the board. On the fleet, some of the plants are still bugged where barrels and armoring still cost 7. So if you go to the fleet, you always get your 2 comms per mod or armoring or barrel or hilt or whatever you buy. So I got Treek, upgrade all her gear, upgrade all my gear. Oh, there we go. The smuggler story, I said it was boring. It was, and then all of a sudden took a sharp left turn, finished it out. I loved it. It was actually a really, really cool story. So I got him 55. Now I'm just going to do the stuff for Revan. And then, of course, my Sith warrior, he's mostly light side. He has a few dark choices just because he gets grumpy. but it's a really cool story. It's almost like it's okay to be a light side warrior. It's kind of like the same thing with the Guardian, with the Jedi Knight. It's almost okay to be a dark side Guardian sometimes, depending on how the NPCs interact with you. So far it's really interesting. And then, of course, there's Zyos, which I'm not going to spoil either. Honestly, waiting 6 days, okay. I can kind of see story-wise why we did that. I do not understand how anyone could go and do the exploit, which I could not actually find out how that actually worked. But from what I have seen, there's no way you did not know you were in the wrong place, because the whole thing is unique. So you could not be like, this could be where I'm supposed to be. No, it's not even close. You wouldn't. That exploit. It was, if you were there, you knew you weren't supposed to be there. The one thing though that I will say is, when you go to the planetary monitor, if you've gone through the first half, and then there's the planetary monitor, and that was the stopping point before May the 4th, was check the planetary monitor. Now it's unlocked. Next time you go to that planetary monitor, read that text carefully, because there is a word that's misspelled, BioWare. I am disappointed in you. That, and the fact that the Zyos label, when you have the loading screen, is not the same color as the background behind it. So it's a little Zyos square inside the little shape. You know what I'm saying, with the picture and the plant name and the tip at the bottom. You know what I'm talking about? Have y'all seen that?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'll take your word for it, though.
I never noticed it. Granted, I don't really read these things.
When you load on a planet, it has like the name of the planet and a nice picture and the tip at the bottom. And the name of the planet is in this little box, and it looks all nice. Look at Zyos. The box isn't the right same color. So that's the OCD in me.
I never would have noticed that. I always Alt-Tab at a game and like change my music when I'm on the loading screen. So I never.
That's what I do. Second you click it, Alt-Tab, look at pictures of cats on Reddit.
So that was my time in game, which was a lot of fun, but a lot of little interesting things. So let's get on to the news in the guild. And Colt, tell us about this new PvP mount that's coming out for Season 5.
Sure. So the top-ranked reward has been teased for Season 5, and it is the Gladiatorial Nexu mount, is I believe the name, or Combat Nexu, or one of those. And honestly, I'm ambivalent about this one. The only PvP mount that I own is the Rancor from Season 1, which is honestly my favorite of all of them. Which is really why I pushed for top tier Season 1. But I like the Nexu design. I'm kind of ambivalent about the design of the armor on the Nexu. I just don't like the look as much as I could. It's not a bad mount. It's certainly not a bad reward. And reading the forums, it seems like the reception has been mostly positive. So if that's what people think, then it's a good reward in the end.
So then, and I don't do ranks, so it matters very little to me. But it's a nice looking mount, I suppose. But I would rather have seen the head a little more clearly. If anything else, I think the helmet's a little too much on that mount. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that. Yeah.
Speaking of people being nice on the forum, so there was a post about last week. Sometimes there was a Sentinel Marauder post put out, and then immediately after that was a lot of negative feedback because it was kind of a rough post. It was brought on by the combat team, who's not our community people. And apparently one of our developers was actually stalked to the point where their personal accounts were attacked.
And their family. Someone contacted their family. What is wrong with you people?
And that's the thing. If you did that, you need to stop playing this game. There is a thing called addiction, and you have a problem. Because if your entire life, if your existence is based on the fact that the Sentinel Marauder don't work right, you have a problem, not the game.
But they need a buff. They need a buff.
I totally understand being frustrated because the thing you're enjoying is suddenly going to be not as enjoyable to you. You're going to understand ranting about it and saying why you hate it and saying, I hate this change and I hate the person who did it. Just going to find their family to complain about it and going on their personal Facebook or whatever else is too far. Way too far.
So that was just an interesting thing to see. I'm sometimes surprised about the way things are with games sometimes. And there is a big issue with addiction in games, and that is for another show. But it's just it's unfortunate to see it quite cross that line, and there is no justification. So, but beyond that, among the other things that we found out about in the forums was that PvP punishments actually happened. Who would have known? And it really was like a last-minute thing. Right before the season ended, poof! If you were a win trader, you lost your entire rating. And it was...
The flip side of that is I haven't seen anyone actually posting about it having happened to them. Or, like, haven't heard any first-hand accounts of it actually happening.
I haven't either, but I almost feel like that people wouldn't admit to that.
Feel like...
Because it's one of those things where, like, exploiting Zyos, people are like, yeah, I did it. And it's not, like, eternal shame, because it's not, like, competition against other players.
Yeah, that's true.
I think people know that if they said, yeah, I win traded, they would,
pretty sure everyone would hate them forever.
Eviscerated on the forums, so.
The wrath of the ranked.
There's a beautiful word for that.
That's a nice word, yeah. The forums would be
right. So I just think that I'm sure it happened. Granted, I've kept my ear to the ground, and I haven't heard about any. There's some notorious win traders on our server. Obviously, I'm not going to name names, but I haven't heard any of them getting pinged. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Whoever's playing video games, I want to come.
And speaking of punishments and issues, have you noticed in the past week that there haven't been as many gold spammers on the fleet? Have you noticed this?
I still keep getting those mails that say, hiya, friend.
See, I haven't gotten any mail for the first time in ages. I used to be able to count how many credits I'd be getting a week, and I haven't gotten any mail this week.
I stopped getting mail. I haven't seen a thing on the fleet in about a week. I haven't seen a thing. Like, not a one. So
I haven't seen much of a change yet.
That's depressing. So they didn't get your ring, but they did get quite a few, apparently, of the credit farmers as well. It was kind of cool because it actually does seem to have made an impact. So if you're one of the people who has been, like myself, report spam, ignore, report spam, ignore, even though that should be, honestly, the one quality of life you should do, BioWare, is when I say report spam, that obviously means I want to ignore them as well, instead of me having to ignore them as
I said that to Musco when I actually saw him at the panel, and he was like, yeah, it's a great idea. I'm just probably on the list of things that they don't have time for.
Yeah, I actually said that to a couple of them at the Cantina night way back when in New York, too, so.
And they forgot. Or they can't do it, which would be silly, because that's
I think it's just on their list of not important compared to everything else.
It's really not important compared to so many other things.
That poor guy in the basement doesn't have time for the simple crap. I don't even know how has that become a thing now? It's like everyone's talking about the poor guy in the basement. He even has a name now, Milton.
Where did he do to Milton?
Have you not seen Office Space?
No,
oh, you gotta watch
watch
Office Space.
TV.
It's a great movie.
It's an Office Space reference because they stuff Milton in the basement. It's one of my favorite movies ever.
Give me my sweet line stapler.
He burns down in attack.
I told him to my sweet line stapler. So, so beyond that, a couple of things are going up. Greece seems to have come back, which was so fast. I didn't expect it to come back so quickly.
Is there any new rewards, or is it still the same stuff again?
Still the same stuff. I need to farm an offhand, but I'm way too lazy. I need to farm legacy offhands, but I just don't want to.
I was hoping there'd be more, because I have the mount, and I have my weapons that I want, and I have my decorations that I want, and I think that's it.
Can you buy me the legacy offhand, please?
Yeah, for sure. Let me just do that. I'll give it to you when it's bound.
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't help very much, does it? And the downside,
no, it doesn't.
The downside is, it seems to be the conquest is slightly broken. It looks like it's going to end on Thursday, which of the week of this recording, but they're pushing it for another week. I think they're trying to get through next Tuesday and then do another week, and they're going to push bounty contract week back. So the conquest week is something wrong. I guess the way the green normally ends and the conquest weeks aren't matching up. So they're going to fix that, I hope, or extend it or something.
Damn it, Milton.
Dang it, Milton. There you go. Just perpetrating the lie right there. Poor Milton. Yeah. So there's a couple other things that have just been in the news that we have seen, and a lot of us who do podcasting, and we are new to the market, of course. We're the new kids on the block.
The market. Like we make money.
Like we make money. We don't make nothing. We're new.
I wish.
We're new to the neighborhood, though. And but one of the reasons I actually wanted to make a podcast, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, Routine Cast. You've heard us mention before. Toro Cast. Star Wars: The Old Republic's longest-running fan podcast, ToroCast, is about to close.
Hi. I like listening to you guys.
So, thank you, ToroCast. We've enjoyed listening to you. Thank you, Rode. Thank you, Minor. Thank you, May. Thank you, Snave. Thank you, all the people who have been through there and made it enjoyable to listen to. We're looking forward to see what you guys do from here. And if you have not ever listened to ToroCast, catch them before they are done. I'm hoping they will do like a wrap-up of some of the best stuff they've done and some of the like a highlights reel. That'd be nice.
That'd be cool. I think May probably will still do her buzz report on Tor Community, and Minor still posts all over the place.
Oh yeah, Minor is everywhere.
And Snave's obviously doing what Snave normally does.
Yes, which now he's more on Hitbox now. I see him all the time over there. So
yeah, he switched over from Twitch.
So,
his Twitch stream was great, though. I need to check out his new Hitbox stream. I watched his Twitch stream a lot to learn Operative.
So yeah, he's doing that a lot. So there's always ways to watch the people you want to watch. So that's good. And Rode is going to be producing new stuff. We don't know what, but it's going to be before the end of the year. So
Hello Kitty Online.
Probably that is the game of choice nowadays.
Stealth Kitty OP.
Stealth Kitty OP. And then, of course, we're all excited about the fact that EA has said that they have an announcement the day before E3 launches, which, of course, or they have their event on June 15th before E3. Well, guess what?
Star Wars 2!
SWTOR 2 is not coming.
Yeah! Oh.
I don't feel that happening. Now, I am kind of sad because EA had a... a call. Help me here, guys. Quarterly profit. Earning call. Oh, lordy. Halt.
What?
You do finance.
Yeah, I do.
They had some numbers and Excel sheets
Sales.
and stuff, and they said Star Wars was the best of all the free-to-play games, and most of the other free-to-plays got axed, but we don't even know what they are. They were just random games.
I have not looked at the financial statements. Even though I'm the finance guy in the guild.
Well, and it was a quarterly earnings report, and they did mention that SWTOR was doing well, so one of the best free-to-play games, but then they said that their push for the Star Wars, the Star Wars coming is not SWTOR, it's Battlefront. And I'm sitting here
Which everyone is complaining about.
Mm-hmm.
Which everyone is complaining about comparing it to the old one.
And it's not the old one. It's something brand new. It looks fantastic, but let's admit that we have not yet seen actual gameplay. We have seen a video made with the engine, which is awesome. But we haven't seen actual gameplay from this game, so as much as I really would love to see a fantastic game like Battlefront, it still not even looks like it's ready for alpha, and we want to have something by the time Star Wars comes out, the end of 2015. I'm a little nervous. And I'm a little bummed, because I was hoping that Star Wars: Old Republic would get some glory, and I'm hoping that the Fallen Empire, which comes out, the announcement of something comes out June 15th, would be exciting. Now...
I got it!
Tell me.
Fallen Empire means SWTOR is shutting down, just like Shadow Realms.
It better not.
Funny, Saya, funny.
So the question is, do you think they'd put a full 5-level expansion in this year, or would they do a DLC, like Strongholds and Starfire?
I think they said they're done with Strongholds and GSF. They said those were Star Wars fantasies, like be a pilot, own your own house, and they said they feel like they've covered all of those. So
I'm not getting my
my
Alderaan ski house. Then is that what you're telling me?
You might, but it'll be under Strongholds. It won't be a whole new expansion.
That's fine.
So they've said they're not going to do anything else like a DLC type expansion, like a content expansion?
It doesn't sound like it, at least.
I just don't see them putting out another 5-level expansion to buy in a year. It's only been a year. Revan's been out for how long now? It was out.
I don't know. I feel like a yearly cycle is good. A big new one every year.
I'd be impressed if they did.
Yeah, see, WoW is on 2-year cycles pretty much, because it's been out for about a decade, and they've had 5 or 6 expansions. So,
but do they do lots of big stuff in between though?
Oh yeah, lots of major.
SWTOR doesn't do a lot in between.
Right.
Well,
Right. I mean,
major content updates are like operations unlocked and areas unlocked. It's not like level cap increases.
Right. Yeah, they have a lot more of sort of the content updates more often, but they only do the expansion model every 2 years or so, and theirs are 10 levels rather than 5, so it's kind of a different thing. It's like each expansion's a lot meatier.
Would you guys be happy if the big announcement was something like Ziost again?
I want a new Warzone.
Or would that be super underwhelming?
I want a new Warzone.
I hope the announcement has to do with freaking cross-server whatever.
Yeah.
Mega server, something, I don't know.
I feel like that's vaporware. They've been saying that forever. It's vaporware.
Yeah, it makes me sad. I just wish they would address it in some form or another. I know probably the reason they're not addressing it is because they don't have a solution yet, but it still makes me sad.
Yeah, they don't have a solution from what I understand.
And that is replayable content, infinitely replayable content. Whereas you can only do the story so many times. I have right now 12 slots, and if I want to unlock more, I can get more. But once I've gone 22 character slots on a server...
You don't want to do it again?
I don't want to do it forever. I don't want to do it over and over and over all the time.
I do.
The story mode?
Says the fourth operative.
No. Okay, and by the way, the operative story, the agent story, has this kind of diversity. I've heard that myself, and I'd be tempted to do the same thing, to do 2 more agents, because I have a very gray agent, so I don't have a full light or full dark side, and I kind of want to see how that works.
Right. There's like 4 unique endings, I think, if I'm counting right.
And I've heard that, but not all the other stories have that kind of diversity. They still kind of come to the same point. So it's an operative thing.
Right. Well,
an agent thing.
The urban legend, and I have come to believe it, is that the agent story was written first and put into the game first. And
they're like, too much work.
then they were like, we don't have space for this, so none of the other stories are as expansive, which I noticed this playing times 12. I was leveling besides one of our other guildmates who was playing a bounty hunter, and I noticed that I had like 5 more story missions than he did, just between planets. It was like way more expansive than his, in terms of the number of side missions between planets. So it definitely felt like it's the biggest story by far.
That's true. I didn't think about that, because my... I'm working on my Sith Warrior. He has like nothing. I think he had like 5. I just finished Alderaan. He had 5 quests, and then he went away, and then he left. I just realized that. Yeah, I think you're right. But the quests gave a lot more experience, which is cool.
Right.
So that is the news that has been interesting to us and important to us as a guild and in and out of our guild. So now it's on to our galactic gossip topic for this episode, and this episode is special. As you may have heard. From the utter lack of Saya's and my discussion of PvP, we're not that good at it.
I can pew-pew, but that's about it.
I can play, but I don't play well. I have a lot of health, which means I have no gear, and everyone knows that, and they come and attack me. Colt is good at PvP. He has a Sith assassin who is slightly feared, depending on who he's facing. So we've asked him to come and join us today to help us to get some ideas on PvP for people who maybe aren't good at PvP. How do you get better at it? What is with ranked and unranked? Does it really matter? That kind of stuff. So Cole, I'm just going to let you kind of run with this.
Sounds good. And guys, feel free to jump in anytime. So yeah, this is going to be sort of the PvP 101 guest segment, because as Virigan said, they've never really had a PvP-oriented guest. I've been doing ranked, just to give you an idea, since pretty much the launch of 8v8 ranked warzones, which, God, it feels like an eternity. And I've played every ranked season, and I've had, I usually end up in the middle tier. I've gotten the top tier twice. And I've played a bunch of different tunes as well. I played my Gunslinger Season 1, I played my Sentinel Season 2, I played my Assassin Season 3 and Season 4, and I played a Sage Season 4, and this past season, current season, Season 5 as well. So I think the first thing I want to go into is sort of the basics of how to sort of approach learning how to PvP if you're new to it. To me, I feel like there's sort of 2 aspects to really starting. The first one is obviously learning your chosen class. So, for example, if you're playing a Sith Assassin, as Virigan said, I play an assassin quite often. Learning exactly how to use stealth, when to pop out of stealth, when to use spike, for example, and when to use low slash as a deception assassin, or when to open with, say, one of your dots rather than spike if you're playing Hatred, and all those little things that take time and practice to learn. For example, I'm pretty new to playing a Sage, and I sometimes struggle at barriering at the right time. So I've actually been working the other night with Talana, who is one of our guild sages who's very, very good at PvP on a Sage, and he's been helping me learn barrier timing. So it's little things like that that you need to learn about your class that are really helpful. But the other thing that people sometimes don't realize is the best way, especially now that there's times 12, to learn how to succeed in PvP is to learn the other classes. So, for example, if you're struggling, a lot of people complain about Sins and Sorcs right now and Power Techs. The best way to learn how to counter those classes is to play one. For example, way back when, I used to really struggle on how to counter Sorcs and Sages when I was playing my Sentinel. I had never really played a Sorc or a Sage till when Makeb came out. I never leveled one in vanilla, so I didn't really know how the class worked. So sitting down and leveling a Sage sort of taught me, here are the strengths of the Sage and here are the weaknesses. And that sort of really provided a good way for me to learn how to do it. So once you've sort of learned your class, the next step is, how do I get gear? Because as Virgan said, when he steps into warzones with us, he doesn't really PvP that much. So his issue right now is gear. And because if you don't have expertise gear, and you don't have the right sets of gear for bolster, you're going to start eating 12k hits to the face, and it's going to be very painful.
Well, and you become kind of a beacon. I don't have any. I have pretty much the right gear to bolster, but my hit point pool is huge. It's like I end up with like 60,000 hit points, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, he has no expertise because he's got this giant bolster on
That's exactly it.
On his health." And so I'm an instant target.
That's exactly it. One of the first things I do when I get into a war zone is I look at everyone's health pool, both for and against, and kind of and you can tell right away if they have PvP gear, if they have min-max PvP gear, or if they're at 50k health and a DPS, you know they're going to have like 800 expertise and go down and hit like a wet noodle. So having gear is really important. And it's something that isn't really talked about much because generally it's accepted. You get your unranked gear, then you maybe or maybe not min-max it, and then you get your ranked set. But if you've never really sort of sat down to gear someone, how do you do it? Like, what pieces do you get first? And that sort of thing. And the answer is more simple than one would think. The first piece of gear you want to get, no matter what class you're on, especially if you don't have any PvP gear at all, is you want to get your 2 relics. The 2 relics are really important because if you're coming from a PvE environment, a lot of the PvE relics don't actually proc inside a war zone. It's set up that way so the higher stat totals on the PvE relics don't make it unbalanced. So you're not getting that 800 power or whatever it is on the PvE relics. I actually don't have the new ones, so I can't tell you off the top of my head. You don't get that stat boost. And it's a really important stat boost to have because your 800 power and your 800 main stat when they proc, those are very significant DPS boosts or healing boosts or tanking boosts depending on what class you're playing. So that's definitely the first piece of gear you want to get. From there, I like to go get my entire set bonus next after relics. And the reason for this is that if you haven't PvE'd yet or PvP'd and you're a fresh 60, you don't have any set bonus gear. And the set bonuses in 3.0 are very solid. For a lot of classes, there's some that aren't so great, but there's some that are very, very good. For example, I really like the Sorc Sage DPS set bonuses. And I also like the Sin DPS bonuses as well. So definitely getting your set bonus gear is important. From there, once you're there, you're well on your way. Get your implants and earpiece, and then your main hand, offhand, and then you're pretty much good to go. You've got your first set, and then from there it's much easier because you're not a major weakling, especially now with a lot of people leveling new tunes at times 12. Now is probably going to be a good time to get gear because there's a lot of people in the same boat as you.
So the unranked comms give you the 162 PvP gear. Am I going to be able to be competitive in unranked with 162? And for the guy who doesn't want to do ranked, let's say I don't want to do ranked. I just want to do PvP for fun, but I don't want to be totally obliterated. Am I going to be all right in 162 PvP gear?
Yeah, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. If you're not ever gonna step foot in ranked, once you get your full unranked set, you can min-max that unranked set, depending on your class. And min-maxed unranked gear is about equal in performance to standard, not modified ranked gear. So once you get that full unranked set and min-max it, you're going to be in very good shape. You are going to still see a little bit of a difference, especially if you come across, like, say, my Sage that's full min-maxed ranked gear. You'll see a little bit of a difference. You'll just see that my stats are just a little better, but you can compete in unranked with that.
That's a good start. So, let's say that I'm doing some PvP and I'm enjoying my time, and I got some gear, and I kind of want gear for the simple fact that I'm tired of being ganked in world PvP. So let's say that I got some gear and I'm like, I want to try ranked. What do I need to do to prepare for the world that is ranked PvP? Because from what I understand, it is a whole different ballgame.
That is 100% correct. It is a whole other ballgame. Part of the challenge is that since you can't choose to queue for unranked arenas, 8v8s really don't help, in my opinion, really don't help getting used to the arena sort of...
They're way different.
They're way different, and like the arena meta is very different in terms of what classes perform and don't perform. I guess for an example, in 8v8s, DPS mercs and DPS gunslingers snipers are very deadly in 8v8 just because there's so much going on and it's much easier for them to free cast. But in 4v4 arenas, especially solo queue where you don't choose your teammates, for example, if I see a gunslinger or a sniper or a marauder, mercenary or a commando on the other team, 9 times out of 10, they're going to get tunneled and go down, just because they don't have the tools they need to really succeed in the solo environment, which is unfortunate, because my name on here, my name on the forums, and what I go by is actually my gunslinger, which is my favorite character, but I have not played my gunslinger in ranked since Season 1. It's just sort of a challenge that I didn't really feel like undertaking. But to answer Viragant's question, I kind of got off topic there, is practice. As I said earlier, to really succeed in ranked, not only do you need to know your own class, but you need to know all the other classes. For example, you need to know, if a Vengeance Jug leaps at you, you need to know you can't stun him, you can't knock him back for 4 seconds. Because if you blow your stun on a Vengeance Jug that leaps at you in Master Strikes, that's a big loss to your team, because now you're not going to have that stun, and you wasted it. Or you try to knock them back, and you lost your knockback, and you get hit by the full Master Strike channel. It's little things like that you need to know, especially learn the visual and sound cues. Another Juggernaut example is know what Saber Reflect looks like. It's kind of hard to see on a Juggernaut sometimes. It's that red glow. Because if you're playing a casting class and you hard cast, say, a crit ambush with a sniper onto a Jug, you're going to hit yourself for 12k. And that's a lot of damage that could very easily be avoided if you just sort of have a little bit of field awareness and see that he casts Saber Reflect, and you stop your cast so you don't hit yourself for that big number. So it's really getting your gear, and for me, I would say the minimum gear for ranked is, I would say, full ranked left side, so your implants, your earpiece, your relic, fully ranked, and then min-maxed everything else. It gives you'll be good enough. If you have the skill to back it up, you'll be able to compete. Anything lower than that, because you're going to be running into mostly people at this point with min-maxed ranked gear, anything less than that, really, and it's too much of an uphill battle, in my opinion, to really be able to compete at the highest level.
Fair enough. Now, if I was going to try and take some of this to the world PvP, we play on PvP server. That's just the way our guild operates. We play on the roleplay PvP server. So one of the things that Sai and I rage about is that outfit designers not allow me to hold a second set of gear in my character slot without having to burn slots in my inventory. But I'm past that. I don't know if Sai is, but I'm getting past that. So I guess in the world PvP, my goal in the end would be to carry a set of PvP gear so that if I was like to go to Yavin 4 and do some questing, I would be equipped to handle the people who don't want to PvP but just want to kill everybody. So they get some gear and they can really obliterate you. So I guess the question is, so when you're out in the world, do you just assume that everyone who has a red name tag is dead and you kill them all? Do you kind of temper that a little bit? How do you deal with PvP in the real world out in a PvP server in our case?
For me, I actually don't really. A lot of the people in my guild know that I have an aversion to dailies. I just refuse to do them. So I don't spend as much time as a lot of people out in the open world. But when I'm out there, I'm wearing PvP gear. I never wear PvE gear when I'm out in the world doing dailies or doing, say, the Rishi story or the Yavin story. I'm always in PvP gear if I have it on that tune. It's much easier to defend yourself, as you know, because of the expertise stat and the fact there's no bolster in the open world. So someone with full PvP gear is just going to be so far ahead of anybody who's just wearing PvE gear. As for how I handle the whole red is dead thing, most of the time I'm out there, I don't like doing dailies. I'm only out there if I need the credits. So, especially if I'm on a stealth class, I'm just going to be stealthing around, doing my quests, leaving people alone. But if they attack me, of course I'm going to kill them. The one exception to that, really, is if some guildies are getting ganked. I'll come out on one of my stealthers and just sort of help take over the area, clear out the other faction, and pretty much just murder red is dead at that point. If I'm helping out a guildie, trying to keep them safe during a quest, I'll just sort of clear the way and be the enforcer.
I've seen that with a couple of people. As a matter of fact, we had one of our newer members happened to be complaining in guild chat, I'm getting ganked in on Yavin, and Zeki, who is a really good sage out in PvP, comes down and she's like, do you remember who it was? And she says, I don't remember the name, but if I see him, I'll let you know. And she says, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just kill everybody. And she killed everybody.
Rain down annihilation. As a healer, too, which is the best part.
She left no one alive. I was like, wow, don't get on Zeki's bad side.
Yeah, really.
You will not be able to play. She's like, I think that's good. So if I was going, I want to do ranked, and right now we're struggling with the fact that ranked, we want that better than crossover, whatever they're going to do. I don't have a clue, and now I'm one of those torn people. I don't play League of Legends. There's a reason I don't play League of Legends. I can't deal with the people that make League of Legends what it is. When you play and you don't know how to play and you're trying to learn the game, it's a very unforgiving game. I understand ranked has some of that same kind of personality where, why don't you just uninstall and play Hello Kitty online? You'd be better off. That kind of life. So with ranked and with its attitude and kind of the competitive nature of it, which sometimes can get a little intense, what do you think would be a good solution from your point of view? If you could do anything, but you could not go outside your server, and you said, I only have this server to try and get people interested in ranked, what would be a good solution? Because I know one of our issues is that ranked just doesn't pop reliably. There's not a lot of people who want to do it, and so you sometimes have to coordinate a team together, one side and the other, and then actually have a match. And it's not win trading as much as it is, I know so-and-so in another guild is actually queuing for ranked, so we might be able to get a pop if we try and queue for ranked. It might come up. How do you deal with the weird thing that is ranked queuing?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, actually, because I actually wasn't able to participate last night because I was exhausted, but solo ranked was randomly popping from like 11 p.m. last night to like 6 a.m., which would have been really nice, but I work normal hours, so I just can't really PvP till 6 in the morning like I could back in my college days. But as for if I could think of any solution, I feel like the devs would have thought of it by now. It's really hard to say. Our server and a lot of the other servers have really tried to get something going in terms of ranked. For example, Kreia, who's a very well-known Shadow Assassin player, hosted a few very successful group ranked nights on his server. I believe it's the Bastion. I could be blanking on that though. And unfortunately, his events were designed to get new people involved. So they play what they call kickball, where they'd get a bunch of people together in a TS chat and sort of draft teams evenly, and they're really trying to get new people involved. But unfortunately, there would be these ranked kills who would bring in their pre-mades and just stomp these new teams. And they pretty much ruined his event, which was a shame, to the point where he was like, I'm done, I'm not hosting these anymore because you guys are all trolls. It's a shame to hear stuff like that, but it's very common in pretty much all ranked communities. Virgin mentioned League, which I play League on and off. It's a toxic community, which is a shame because I enjoy the game, but I'm not good at League because I started really, really late. So it's a situation there too. But I feel like the best solution, if we can't do cross-server, would be mega server. And they need to merge the servers. Pot 5 is on its last legs. Jugma is struggling. If they merge those two, I feel like we'd be in good shape. And more importantly, we'd get some new blood in terms of seeing people queue we don't really know. Because, for example, a lot of the time in our server, if people hear, oh, Vicious is queuing, they won't queue because they're scared of playing those players and losing rating. Which I can see if you're going for a certain rating, a certain reward, and you hear that 5 of the best 10 players on the server or whatever are queuing, you might say, okay, I'm going to sit out tonight, which is what happens, and then we don't get pops, because if people hear that the PvPers are queuing, which are the people who make the pop, then they don't pop, then they have no one to play against. So it's a shame that it happens like that, but I think mega server is really the only solution to get ranked going again. Because, I mean, we have a topic on our server forums right now we're like, please get YOLOs popping again. When are you guys going to be on? When do you want to do ranked? And it seems like they've kind of settled on Saturday nights. So hopefully it's popping on Saturday. I don't know if I'll be able to play on Saturday because I run our Imperial progression team on Saturdays, but maybe it'll still be popping after that raid. So I'll probably pop in and give it a try that night.
Well, and one of the things I'm kind of curious about, because you kind of mentioned that the community is kind of toxic because it's how it works, and same with League. But if we cross server queue, pretty much won't the only people playing be the ones who can handle the semi-toxic environment? So you're pretty much getting the ones who are still playing on each server to get together, and not necessarily inviting new players in, because it really is not a friendly environment to a new ranked player. Like, I feel like if you walked into a ranked, because now it looks like BioWare is getting away from having a preseason, which means that there's no opportunity for a person to gain ranked comms out of season. How do you get ranked gear without ranked comms if there's no preseason? No one wants to play with a PvPer in unranked gear.
Keep in mind, when you merge up, the chances of you being against somebody who is ultra mega good actually go down, and you have more chances to be against other normal people. So, for example, Colt was saying how someone was doing nights where newbies could come on, and the only other people to queue against were super good guilds who are like, haha, we're just gonna smush you. If we were on a big server with lots of other people, there'd be lots of other people queuing, so the chances of being against that super good group go down. There might be other normal people queuing up too.
Exactly.
Maybe for group ranked, but at least for solos, the chances of just having normal balanced team go up the more people you have, especially because of the there is actually a algorithm for determining who should be on what team depending on their skill. I think it's depending on the rating, but because we're such a small server, it just ignores it and just tries to actually get 8 people in a warzone.
It also doesn't help that BioWare's rating algorithm is mathematically flawed, but that's a whole other story that I'm not going to get into.
And actually, that is the other part of it too. And you're right. The whole concept of the rating system in the ranked is completely subjective, which is the exact opposite of what you want in a ranking system. You want something objective, not subjective.
Right. Well, the issue is that there's not enough people on these servers for an ELO matching system, which is the system that BioWare uses to run properly. Statisticians who have a way more mathy background than I do have run a lot of tests on ELO systems in general, and we just don't have enough people queuing and enough matches going to have that system run properly, which is why I said, I hinted at it, that the system's mathematically flawed, because the first step it takes, which is wrong, is it looks for people who are close to you in rating to make a team. So, for example, if my rating is 2,500, which is fantastic, and that's like probably top 20 cross game on my assassin, and there's 3 people at 1,500 queuing, and then there's 3 people at 2,200, it's not going to pair me with the 3 people at 1,500. It's going to pair me with the 3 people at 2,200, because it's looking for people close to my skill level. So it'll grab those people, so we'll be like a super team. And then it'll try to match us with other teams. The problem is the only other team is 4 people with 1,500 rating. So you can imagine that that's not a fair matchup, because there's a massive discrepancy. But those are the only 8 people in queue. What it should do instead is pool everybody and see, okay, this guy's got 2,500 rating, and then there's a bunch of people at 15, and there's a few people at 22, and kind of mesh it together so it's me at 22, 25, a couple of the 1,500 people, and balance it that way. It does it in reverse order, which normally would work with enough people queuing, but because we don't have enough people queuing and enough pops and enough matches to get proper ratings, it's bugged to the point where the first 2 days of the season are like the most important and more important than the rest of the season combined, because once you run out to a good start and get a high rating, you're pretty much set, because you're going to get put on teams with other people with high rating, and you're pretty much good to go.
Fair enough. So, okay. So, Saya, did you have anything for the land of PvP, or?
Don't do it! I mean, what?
That's mean.
and I am firmly in the unranked for casual play camp, just because I do like to do it with our guildies. It's a lot of fun, but I don't like the pressure of the ranked that you would have to fulfill a requirement and really play in such a way that it's a lot of work, and I don't want to work at a game.
I'd be curious to see if they could somehow manage a way to make it so you can only gain ELO, not lose it. Like, maybe if you did really crappy and your teammates only got 1 extra ELO for the match, they wouldn't be as mad as if they got negative ELO for you doing bad.
I mean, not a bad thing.
I think the issue there is, and I'm not against it, I would have to think about it more, but it just rewards time. Like, someone who's really terrible at the game could queue for like 5,000 ranked matches, assuming they got those pops, which is the whole other conversation, and have a higher rating than someone that went like 150 and 0. And yet
you're right, it doesn't measure skill as much.
It doesn't it really doesn't measure skill at all, which is the whole thing. But
well, now they've made that lower shelf. The solo ranked has a steep lower shelf that you have to get a certain ranking to get anything. And then group ranked has the same thing, but it's not as severe. So
right, I think that was a good change, though, just because to
get your 10 matches done for your crystals.
Right, to be below that lower shelf in solos, you either have to be trolling, win trading, or just you pretty much have to go 0-10, I think. Or maybe if you went 1-9, I'd have to look at it again to make sure of that. But the odds of you playing legitimately and falling below the lowest shelf in solo ranked are pretty slim, because it's 1,000, and you start off at 1,200, and to go below 1,000 in 10 matches, I think you have to lose all 10 of them. So I get that it could happen if you're playing legitimately, but chance just sort of says that that's really not. It's hard to say that would happen to many legitimate players.
Fair enough. Alrighty, so that was our PvP 101. Thank you, Colt, for coming in and actually giving us some knowledge, some ideas. And And just a chance to try and get better. Learn your class, learn the other classes, try and get that gear. And for the most part, if you are interested in doing PvP at all, unranked PvP actually is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's not nearly as competitive. I actually like Starfighter PvP almost a little bit better because they can't type while they're flying their Starfighters, so they can't say, "You suck." They don't have time.
I am so bad at Starfighter. I just can't do it.
It's exciting. It's fun. We'll have to get one of our other guild members, Loriana. He does Starfighter.
You should get him on for a Starfighter segment.
We should get him on because
maybe I'll learn a thing or two from the Starfighter segment.
He is known in our guild as the man who likes GSF, and it's just the rest of us. It is tough, but it's a lot of fun. So, but anyway, I enjoy the PvP, and if you like doing the PvP, the unranked PvP is a lot of fun. So keep that in mind and get some friends and just queue up together. Even if you got no gear, it doesn't matter. A lot of people don't have any gear in unranked; they're still trying to get gear.
Yeah, especially now, with times 12, so many new alts coming up through the ranks. Now's the time if you don't have any gear, because a lot of people have just hit 60. They have no gear either. I actually noticed this the other night, is a lot of people are really squishy when I was playing on my Sage. So now's the time to start getting gear and hopping in and trying something new if you want to give it a shot.
And they were probably thinking of the 12-time XP when they made it impossible to switch PvP comms back and forth.
They did. It broke my heart.
But I'm sure they were thinking of this, that there'd be an influx of alt characters, and all of a sudden they'd walk in with 10,000 PvP comms. Unranked comms, and it's like, oh, no, you're gonna have to earn them.
That was my plan too.
So, and with that, looks like we are back to another episode of the Coruscant Courier Service. So, at this time, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Previously on the Chronicles of the Coruscant Courier Service.
The office will need to be under investigation for a little while longer, as we search all the records, but I'm pretty much done with the staff. They can be temporarily transferred in about a week.
No, that won't be necessary. We're going to cut our losses, dump them all.
You want them fired? You do it yourself. And if you do, I quit.
What's the problem?
Jero stole a package from CCS, and he and Grant are in possession of it. Corporate is after them, and I'm sure the authorities are getting involved.
That can't be right. Jero isn't that stupid, and Grant doesn't have the stomach for a life of crime.
It is imperative that you make no contact with them or accept any contact from them. I can't stress this enough. No contact.
I didn't call them, I swear!
Then who could that be?
I don't know, takeout?
Did you order takeout?
No.
Then I don't think that's who it is. Go see.
Fine. Who's there?
It's me, Grant.
Calypse?
I didn't call him!
Calypse, open up, please. I need to talk to you.
I don't know, Grant. I'm in enough trouble as it is.
Come on, I wouldn't ask this if it isn't important. It's kind of an emergency.
Let him in.
What is it?
Calypse, I'm glad you're okay. Tillith?
Hello, Grant.
Tillith, you're here, in Calypse's apartment, with Calypse and myself.
Yes, why are you telling me what I already know?
Just making sure we're all on the same page. Calypse, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have come here, but things have gotten so out of hand. We never meant it to go this far, and now it looks like the only end in sight is a dangerous one. I just had to come by and tell you how I really feel.
Grant?
Wait, what?
Calypse, from the moment I stepped into that cramped CCS office and saw you amidst all those files and datapads, I knew this was meant to be.
Oh my...
What?
The way you showed me how to handle firearms and become a ruthless killer.
Yes, very romantic.
I couldn't have gotten to where I am without you, and I think you should know how I really feel.
Oh, Grant.
Jero said we might not make it back, and I should make my bed, just in case. So, Calypso, I'm here to tell you that I...
Yeah?
Wait a second. Where is Jero?
Surprise, surprise. Nobody move. Good work, kid. You really sold that mushy stuff.
Hell yeah, we got you good, Tillith.
Wait, what?
Now, Tillith, we didn't want to come into this, and we don't want to hurt you, but if you make a move, I will blow you away. And not in a good way.
Did you just wink at me?
No. Shut up.
We thought she might come for you, Calypso, so we came up with this awesome plan to rescue you.
Oh, is that what you call it?
Worked like a charm. I knew you were good for something, Princess.
Nope, I'm not gonna let you kill my vibe. We did good, and I feel so alive.
And I'm so proud.
Enough. All of you are idiots.
Excuse me. Have we forgotten who holds the gun in this relationship? I think we have. It's me.
Jero, put that thing down before you actually shoot someone. I wasn't here to bring Calypso in. I came to help her.
You did what?
Corporate gave you guys a raw deal. So I told them I'd handle this, rationally. If it were up to them, you'd all be thrown in jail, but you guys don't deserve that. Even I can see that.
Calypso?
Yeah, it's true.
Oh.
Well, then, yeah, just allow me to put this away.
I had no idea. I'm sorry.
That's alright.
What are you looking at me for? I'm not apologizing. Jeros don't apologize.
Whatever. Well, it looks like I'm in the same boat as you guys now.
Why's that?
Corporate doesn't trust me to bring you in. And I already know you're not coming in willingly.
No, ma'am. That is another thing Jeros do not do. Go in willingly.
I had a feeling. I guess there's only one thing left to do as a CCS branch.
Now you're talking.
Everybody in?
Of course.
Too late to turn back now.
Calypso?
I guess so. I mean, what choice do I have?
Great. I'm assuming you don't carry the thing around with you, right?
Nah, got it held up somewhere.
Good. You and Grant go get it, and Calypso and I will go get us what we need.
What do we need?
Place to operate.
Heyo!
Hey, you find a refresher?
Anything's refreshing. If you're brave enough.
You are the worst.
Yeah. You hear from them yet?
Yeah, they're getting it all cleared up out there now. They'll get us when it's ready.
Good. I don't like being in the open.
What are you doing?
What?
What is that?
It's a death stick.
Are you kidding me?
No, look, see? Death stick.
No, are you really going to smoke that?
I'm pretty sure that's what you do with a death stick.
You know how bad that is for you.
No, come on.
It's literally called a death stick. The word death is in the name. No good can come from it.
Well, maybe I'm not looking for good.
Then why?
Because maybe I'm looking for bad?
Why would you willingly harm yourself?
Because I feel bad. See, I'm so perfect in all the other aspects of my life that I do this to make me feel less superior.
You just made that up.
Yes, I did. Pretty good, huh?
Okay, everything looks clear, and it's all set up under aliases. We've got working holo terminals, comm links, and we can stash a speeder in the port. We should be all set. Hey, are you okay?
I'm fine.
You don't seem fine.
I am. What are you doing?
I'm hugging you.
Well, stop!
Sorry. I'm not very good at this.
Being a social member of society?
No, girl stuff. Like, being a friend and all.
Oh, it's okay. I'm fine.
It's Grant.
What?
You're upset about Grant. You thought he was being genuine before.
Yeah, right. Did you hear what he was saying? He sounded ridiculous. I don't care about what he said or what he meant. I'm just really tired.
Okay. I mean, he did say some pretty stupid things.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go get the guys.
Yeah, stupid things.
Whoa! Nice place you got here, Tillith.
Yeah, this is almost nicer than the office.
Thank you, thank you. I got a hold of it in case a courier ever needed to lay low somewhere. I guess you say I got it for this very occasion.
What exactly is this occasion?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Well, received a package marked high priority, and when Gerald was transporting us...
Jumped. I got away, but the clown that jumped me, he had this.
The Imperial insignia?
Imperial's on Coruscant. This is huge.
It's really not. Our job is to deliver packages. The only huge thing about this that we know we're dealing with is trained killers. Everything else is irrelevant, and going to the authorities is a breach. It's a breach of our policy, if you know what I mean.
I don't think going to the authorities right now is a good idea anyway.
Right. Which brings us to Schaefer. He was dealing with the black market on the side and making loads of money. Could this package have led to him getting caught?
I don't think so. I think his time was up and he got too comfortable. That's what gets you caught.
Maybe. All we know is that we have to be exceptionally careful.
What's our next move?
You guys didn't bring it along for no reason. Let's see that package.
What are you going to do?
I'm gonna try to hack into the CCS database and find out who the buyer and seller are. I'd like to know what kind of trouble we're really facing here.
All right, and we're back, and it's good to be back with the Coruscant Courier Service, and I understand that they're going to be recording a big chunk of it at the same time. We'll just feed it out in little segments, so we're getting excited, and we're actually about to end a season here, and then we're going to have a second season, so now we're going to do seasonal themes. It's going to be exciting. I'm happy to see where things are going, and I'm excited to see how this continues, and Coda, of course, is our mastermind, and I'm just happy to see where he takes it from here. So, with that, that is it for this episode number 10. If you would like to join us on the Jungma server, look for our Republic Guild, Remnants of Hope, or our Imperial Guild, Vestige of Despair. You can find guild information at remnantsofhope.com and follow the guild on Twitter at ROHSWOTOR. This and other episodes of our podcast can be found at hopecastgamers.com, and you can email the show at SWOTORHopecast and gmail@gmail.com. And of course, subscribe to the show on iTunes. And with that, I'm Virgin.
I'm Saya.
And I'm Colt.
And until next time, may the Force serve you well. And remember, try some PvP, destroying friendships in SWTOR since 2011. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Star Wars Hopecast, part of the Remnants of Hope gaming community.